Welcome to episode 3. In the last part, we got to see some more benchwork going up, as well as lots of track being laid onto the new layout. Returning on May 19th, the first ramp from the staging yard to the upper level was finally completed. While on one side, the line was using wooden columns, on the other side, the ramp would then switch to wooden shelf brackets to reach to the second level. The homosoap masonite combo is still holding strong here. The only thing left to do now was to lay the tracks up onto the ramp. Even though the tracks were not installed yet, let's take a point of view perspective of what a model train might see as it goes up this ramp. We begin by exiting the staging yard. As we go over this clamp, there will be a junction here where trains can enter or exit the yard onto the main line. Rounding the bend, the line will then cross a giant bridge. This area where the tracks split is intended to be where another set of smaller bridges will go in order to cross another railroad down below. Once the tracks come back together, the line will then continue on to the second level. Besides the ramp, more of the classification yard was built. It was now rounding this corner, but as you can see, more track was needed to be laid here. Besides the yard, work on the main line was also progressing here as well. Now let's join in with this grading team. As stated before, the roadbed being used here is cut cork. All the cork is being cut to 3/4 of an inch wide. After figuring out where the roadbed needs to go, a strip of cork is then glued to the table and then held down by thumbtacks. As the first strip is drying, another strip of cork is then glued down right next to it. As it's being laid down, some of the thumbtacks are removed and then placed back down to hold down the roadbed. By the end of the night, this section of roadbed was finished and ready for more track to be laid onto it. Beyond this point, the triple track main line will enter onto another ramp, which will take the railroad from here to the first completed ramp, where it will then continue on to the upper level. By the 21st, the tracks here were installed. The only things left to do in this area were to lay the switches at this end of the yard and to install another turntable here as well. Well, with the first ramp mostly completed, work began on the second ramp, beginning from the upper level. For this section of the ramp, part of the upper level had to be cut off and reattached with custom shelf brackets. This was to accommodate the double-track Mainline's ability to go down to the lower level. Also up here, more homosote was being installed. Now we'll watch as a sheet of custom-cut homosote gets installed into its proper place. Besides laying the homosote down, more cork roadbed was also being laid up here as well. Here, a surveyor is plotting a course for the roadbed to be laid. Unfortunately, during the work session, a hammer accidentally fell from the upper level and landed right on top of one of the rails on the lower level. As a result, the rail received a nasty dent from the hammer. So, after some discussion, it was decided that the bent rail would be slid out and replaced with a new rail. While it's a bit hard to see, in this shot, this is the rail that was bent by the hammer. With the surgery now completed, we went back to work on the upper level laying more cork roadbed. This area is intended in future to be another big station with 3 railroads crossing at grade. Besides this station, work also began on laying the tracks down at Union Station. On the 26th, more progress was being made on the second ramp. As you can see, more wooden shelf brackets were installed. Now there's no need to fear here. In the near future, it is intended on cutting away this section of the upper level to accommodate the ramp. It will also be reinstalled in order to hold the single-track railroad that's going to be up here. In this shot, you can see how the ramp comes closer to the benchwork. This is to accommodate another track running alongside it on the lower level. On this curved section of the benchwork, the ramp will be placed on the columns as it makes its way to the lower level. Also, at the top of this ramp, more cork roadbed was beginning to make its way onto the ramp. During this time, someone made a donation of Midwest cork roadbed, which is the darker cork in this shot. It was decided to also use this cork as well. Moving down to the lower level, more track was being laid at Union Station, and the roadbed was now being laid past the station and around this corner. Also, as per usual, while work continued on the HO scale layout, other layouts were in full swing with activity. Before we end this section, returning to the HO scale layout on the upper level at where the end of the big branch line is, this area of the layout was considered done and ready for more cork roadbed to be laid up here. Moving to the 28th, with more cork roadbed down up here, track began to be installed up here. Back at the first ramp, not only was more cork being installed up here, but track was also being installed here as well. After checking if gravity works, we'll now move on to the 2nd of June. Over on the O-gauge layout, foam was installed onto this section of the layout, ready for scenery to be installed. Also, back on the HO scale layout, progress on the second ramp was still ongoing. Moving to the 4th, layering of the homosote and masonite ramp was progressing well. Back at the first ramp, track work was progressing well, as a crossover was installed here. Also, more cork was making its way down the table. Between the 4th and the 16th in this area, more track work was installed, not only down the ramp, but also up onto the upper level as well. Switching lines on both the date and the layout, we are now over by the O-scale layout on the 23rd. By this date, the original mountain from the O-gauge layout had been installed onto the new layout. One of the club members began the process of connecting the two hills together by using plaster cloth. In case you're curious, this is what those two pieces used to look like. One big mountain with a lake in front of it. This mountain was cut down the middle, and crawling inside the layout, we get to see the foam layers that make up this hill. Looking underneath, we get to see the supports holding up the hills, as well as trains running through the future tunnels here. Besides these mountains, there are other hills also being installed onto the layout as well. Besides scenery work, Morton salt was also installed onto the layout, ready to be serviced by the railroad. Let's now head over to the HO scale layout. Over by the staging yard, caution tape was placed all over the yard, and the rolling stock was removed out of here. The reason for this was because an electrician was installing electricity to the air conditioners that were sitting above this part of the layout. Turning around, more progress had been made on the second ramp. The upper level here had been entirely removed by this point. At this end of the second ramp, it winds its way down, running alongside the first ramp. Beyond this point, more pillars were installed here, ready to carry the second ramp down. Switching back to the first ramp, track work was now leaving the staging yard. The only thing left to do on this ramp before installing more track was to install the bridges that are planned for this section here. Following the tracks from the first ramp to the upper level, more tracks were installed onto the middle peninsula. Besides tracks, more cork roadbed was also laid up here as well. Besides all the track work up here on the upper level, Union Station also received some track work as well. Heading over to the upper level branch line, track was also being laid here in the yard. Before we move on, let's take a look at the N-scale layout. Besides the usual modules, some new ones were installed as well. First, we have a small yard module with a re-railer on the main line and some sidings. Besides the yard, there is also a lonely oil field and a gorge with a warehouse on it. Moving on to the 25th, with the 4th on the horizon, some of the O-gauge modelers brought out their bicentennial trains to run. Heading over to the HO scale layout, by this point at the end of the upper level branch line, the yard was finished being laid out and ready for trains. Heading out of the yard, the lead tracks are the two closest tracks to the aisleway, while the lone track is to be a coal loading track. Returning to the second ramp, even more progress was made. More cork was making its way down the ramp, and a field of thumbtacks was growing well. Luckily, we have come at the right time. The thumbtacks were ripe and ready for removal. Beyond where the cork was laid, more of the homosoap masonite combo was being smoothed out and ready for the cork to be laid down there. Moving over to where the first ramp is, we can see that the second ramp is beginning to run alongside it. For the second ramp here, it will cross a large river here on its own bridge. Beyond that, the second ramp then ducks underneath the first ramp. At this point, we have now reached the end of the current ramp on this peninsula. Back on the upper level, more surveying work was completed. The lines you are seeing here are indicating where main lines and yard tracks are supposed to go. On the 30th, we walked in to find another test of gravity being conducted on the second ramp. Speaking of the second ramp, the ramp was almost ready to be connected to the lower level. At the other end, more track was laid down. back at the Middle Peninsula, work on the roadbed was going well. Now let's join in and see the last of the mainline cork go in. Once the cork here is done drying and the thumbtacks are harvested, track work can continue past this point, but that could be saved for another day. The last thing to mention here is that by this time, the electrician had finished installing electrical lines to the AC units. The air conditioners were now working well. And now we have arrived at the end of yet another video. If you like this video and would like to get more updates on this project as well as any other projects in the future, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to hit the like button down below, and also don't forget to hit the bell button down below as well, so you'll be notified when new videos get released to this channel. As always, happy model railroading!